What's up, YouTube? It is your boy JB, and we are here today. I think this is the season finale for the Haves and the Have-Nots. This is season 7, episode 20, titled The Reaping. And you guys, before we get into the video, there's just some things that I got to get off of my chest with this season thus far. This second half of this season was trash. Period, point blank, trash. Now, I did see on the Shade Room yesterday, or it was either the Shade Room, Jasmine Brand, or Ball Alert, one of those two. One of those three, my bad. It was one of those three, and it said that Tyler Perry is looking to add some writers to help him out. Thank the good Lord above. He has finally listened to what people are saying. Now, there are going to be some things that I'll talk about now and some things that I'll talk about at the end of the episode. The things that I want to bring up now, especially with this season, that bothered me was Jim and Catherine. Why the fuck are they respectively been in this whole season in jail and in a goddamn bed? That's it. But without further ado, you guys, let's go ahead and just jump into this episode review, shall we? All right, you guys. So this episode picked up where last week's episode ended. You guys remember, remember Vinny? He slit Wyatt's wrist. Slit this way. Why not go for his vein? Because that would, if you cut the vein, you really gonna kill the motherfucker. But that's, I'm guessing that's just too much like right. Hell, I don't fucking know, but whatever. So Wyatt is sitting here begging with Vinny, please let me go to the hospital. I'll give you jewelry. You like money, don't you? Wyatt, obviously he likes money because Catherine didn't give him any money. He's like, she didn't pay you? No shit, Sherlock. Obviously she didn't pay you. Homie just slit your motherfucking wrist, but whatever. So yeah, like I said, Wyatt is begging to go to the hospital. The man just slit your wrist. Why the fuck would he let you go to the hospital? Okay, Wyatt. Whatever. Then he's talking about call his dad. Yeah, I don't think Jim gives any more of a fuck about you than Catherine does. But okay, Wyatt, if you say so. So then we see Mitch. So Mitch calls Candace, and Mitch is telling Candace that Benny knows, and she's like, "How does he know?" He was like, "I don't know." She's like, "Well, how do you know that that Benny knows?" He says, "I know because Mitch." Okay, I'm gonna start over because I was getting tongue-tied. Mitch called Candace. He told Candace, "Hey, Benny knows about Derek." She was like, "How does he know about Derek?" He says, "I don't know." She's like, "Well, how do you know that he knows?" And he was like, "I know because he came here and he was upset at me because I lied to him. And then she's like, "Well, I'm so sorry." And then, so yeah, he was like, "I'm so sorry." And well, she said she's sorry. And then he said, she said she'll make it up to him. She'll work it out. He says, "How?" She says, "I'll call him and I'll tell him that, I told you to lie for me." And he was like, "Don't do that." She was like, "Why?" Because then he'll question, why we still in contact with each other. And I'm just like, huh? Did that make sense to anybody out there in this world? Did that make sense? Because if I'm not mistaken, aren't they all supposed to be friends with each other? Okay, yeah, I thought they were friends with each other. Here's another thing that kind of, it doesn't bother me, but it's really funny to look at these characters. It's funny to look at Benny, Mitch, Candace, Wyatt, Jeffrey. I think even Madison them. It's funny to look at them because when you look at the characters, they're supposed to be playing like they're in their early 20s. That's the funny part, is that they're supposed to be playing like they're in their early 20s, but I'm like, Tyler, they're older than I am. All of them are. And I'm in my 30s. I'm in my early 30s, but people still, now people do mistake me for my early 20s and mid 20s, but I'm not. But I'm like, I could pass for my 20s a lot easier than they can. We all know that I know that most of them are like in their late 30s, probably early 40s. And black don't crack, but they don't look that young. Just being honest with you. But yeah, that's neither here nor there. So let's move on. All right, you guys, and then next, Veronica. So Veronica got a call from that mercenary guy that she hired or semi-hired in last week's episode. And, you know, well, she got a call from him because he was outside, and she told him to come in. Because I was just looking like, how did she get a call from him? And then he was in the hospital. I had to remember. She got a call from him. He said he was outside, and she said, come in. Why the fuck didn't he ring the doorbell or knock? Okay, never mind. So he did tell her that, he was able to track whoever Jim has tracking her, which you guys remember, she thinks is David. And she asked him, like, where is Jim at? He says, Jim is still in the hospital. She says, where is his wife at? And he says, she's in jail. She says, not Catherine. She says, I'm talking about David. He says, oh, well, David is, between the house and the hospital. And she was, she was talking about, well, do you know any more information on the person that's following her? He doesn't. Where the fuck did that bug come from? I really got to do a better job of closing my door behind me when I come in at night. What was I saying? That little motherfucking bug just bothered me. I lost my train of thought. But yeah, she asked where Jim and David were. He told her. So then, I don't remember what I was talking about. It probably wasn't important. So then we see Hannah. So Hannah is still with that accountant, whose name I don't know, by the way. And, she's talking about, she looked at the clock, her clock, and she was like, oh, shoot, my meeting is coming up soon. So then the accountant asked her out to dinner, and she turned him down. He says, he said you would say that. She says, wait, who told you that? He said, the pastor. And the whole time I was looking at Hannah and that accountant dude, I'm like, there is no chemistry with these two. Like, I don't believe that they would go out on a date with each other. Like, it's just nothing there. Literally, nothing. It's just like a brick freaking wall between them. Like, I just don't see anything going on. And then the thing that bothers me the most when it comes to like Tyler Perry and his shows is the repetitive dialogue. It's like, who talks like that? I don't know people that talk like that. Because he was talking about she was like, I'll call you if I need you. He says, I know you will. And she says, I'll be looking for your call. She says, I know you will. And it's just like, what the fuck are we talking about here? Like, it's just back and forth. They're saying the exact same thing, just flipping it. He says, well, let me take you out. It'll be on me. She's like, what did he say? He said let her take her out and, he would pay for dinner. She said, I thought this is what the coffee was for. I was like, oh my God, Hannah, shut up. The man is saying, let me take you on a date. It's my treat. Girl, just say, hell, fuck it. Honestly, Hannah, girl, you should have just said, you should have just shut up at that when he said, let me take you out and I'll pay for it. When and where and what time do I need to be ready is all you need to say. But nope, that ain't what Hannah said. Hannah just wants to, oh God, Hannah. Moving on. All right, you guys. So we see Justin, and there is a knock at the door. He asks, who is it? And it's Veronica. And when she talks, I'm like, Justin, you obviously know that that's Veronica. So, she's like, let me in. He ain't moving. So then Tanner comes out of the bathroom and opens the door. She's like, oh, was I just interrupting something disgusting? I'm like, God, this woman is such a homophobe. And then, she just kept throwing the insults at them, like actually, more specifically, she was throwing the insults at Tanner. Shit, something just flew in my eye. Yeah, she threw the insults at Tanner. And when Tanner said that, that they're brothers, she said, wait a minute. Something was actually able to create both of you. I'm like, God damn, that is a disrespect to their mama. If I was them, if I was one of them, I know, well, you know what? It ain't gonna be Justin. Tanner, if I was you, I would have slapped the shit out of Veronica for talking about your mama like that. Like, swear to God. So then she asked Justin, does he know those girls that were in her pool? And I mean, God, this woman is such a fucking homophobe. And Justin says, I don't know who that was in your pool. She says, so you and Jeffrey didn't put this up together. He says, no, I don't know who it was. She says, I believe you. And he says, I promise you, I don't know who it was. She says, I believe you. So then, she asks, so once again, Tanner's asking, who is this lady? And she says, I'm that bitch, or something like that. That bitch, she kept referring to herself as a bitch. So I'm going to call her bitch, because she referred to herself as a bitch. And then she says, as she's leaving, he asks Justin one more time, who was she? She says, I'm Jeffrey Harrington's mother. Your brother here. Yeah, he likes to, molest people in the back of his squad car. And Tanner was looking at him like, oh. Oh, she says, oh, you didn't know that. Well, you do now, bitch. So then, once Veronica leaves, Tanner wants to know everything. And, Justin at first didn't want to tell him, but I'm guessing Justin is going to tell him what happened. So then we see Benny. So Benny, he returns to the room where Candace is, and he's asking Candace if she have Mitch to lie to him. She says no. Benny asks her to see her phone. She says, why do you want to see my phone, Benny? He says, I want to see if Mitch called you. So then, they're going back and forth about this whole situation with Derek. Did you tell Mitch to lie to me? Obviously, Benny, she did. I don't know why Benny even needed the verification. Who else was gonna put Mitch up to lying to you about Derek? Sometimes Benny acts as dense as, he is just as dense as can be. Dense. So then she asks him, how the hell did you find out? He says, Veronica told me. She's like, how the fuck does Veronica know? Veronica knows everything. So then he asked her, why did you lie to me? He asked her this more than once, why did you lie to me? She said, I did that because I didn't want you to get into any kind of trouble. So then, she asked him, so what did you do? He says, I knocked his bitch ass out, and he was too much of a coward to get up and fight back. Benny. That doesn't mean that the man is a coward because he didn't get back up and fight you back. That means that the man knows what he did was wrong years ago, and it was no defending it. But okay, Benny, if you say so. Benny is just as dumb. It's just like so many dumb people on this show. Benny is one of them. Okay, there really is something in my eye. But I'm going to pause here and we're going to move forward, you guys. All right, you guys. And then next, let's discuss Jeffrey and Madison. So, you guys remember in last week's episode, Colby left Jeffrey and Madison to talk about their relationship or whatever their situation is that they got going on with each other. So, Madison is asking Jeffrey if he likes him. And I'm assuming he means Colby because Jeffrey has told him what they did at Veronica's house. And I'm like, oh, so Madison is a little jealous. But how can you be jealous if you guys are just having sex and you guys haven't discussed a relationship with one another? Okay, whatever. So then Jeffrey says, you know what? Let's go out to dinner. Yep, whatever it is still in my eye. So yeah, Jeffrey says, let's go out to dinner. And Madison is like, what are we going to have to dinner for? He says, to talk. He says, what are we going to talk about? Us. I was like, oh, God, Madison. Okay, whatever. Don't really too much give a shit about Jeffrey, Madison, Colby, or any of them because they don't make sense to me. So then they heard the door open, and in walks Veronica with some gloves and a mask on. I'm like, oh, Veronica was ahead of her time, wasn't she? And when I tell you guys, Veronica is a true homophobe. Madison asked her, how did she get in? She says, your wrist is so broke that you forgot to lock the door behind you. I'm like, oh my God, that is insulting. That is so insulting. But how the fuck? Well, you know what? I'm not going to even sit here and judge them because I'm about to say, how the hell do you walk into your apartment at night and forget to lock the door? I've done that plenty of times. Like, I don't know how I do it. Like, one day last week, I went to my door the next morning to go take my trash out, and I was like, I just looked at my door. I'm like, wait a minute, my door is unlocked. I'm like, how the hell did that happen? Like, my door was unlocked. Thank God for me in my apartment complex. I'm in a gated, well, not, my community is not gated, but my building, you can't get in my building without a key. We have key fobs. You can't get into our garage without a key fob. You can't get into my building without a key fob. So that is the one good thing about that, nobody came in, nobody's able to get in. And even though even my neighbors here, they didn't just open my door and just walk in. I even did that in my old apartment. Quite a few times in my old apartment. I would fall asleep in my living room. I just don't know how I do that. I think sometimes I just be really, really tired from the day, and I just come in, kick my shoes off and everything, and forget to lock my damn door. Thank God don't nobody know. I mean, in my last one, that was an open community, so I was so thankful that nobody walked into my apartment. But yeah, she is just a true homophobe. So Madison, Jeffrey, and Veronica, they having this back and forth with each other. Madison's telling her to get out of his apartment. He's gonna call the police. She says, you call the police on me. I'm gonna call the police and report Jeffrey for trespassing. Jeffrey's like, I'm not trespassing. Oh no, you did trespass, all right. You trespassed on my property with them things. And I have, I guess she has video footage of it or whatever. I don't know. Don't really give a fuck. And then, Madison thought he was reading her, talking about, her dress. She's talking about, get your hands off my $5,000 dress. He says, girlfriend, I saw this on the clearance rack for $85. She says, you look like the type that would buy from the clearance rack. I'm like, God damn. So the reason that she's there is because she wants to know about Kobe. Who is he? So while she's talking about that, who walks in? Kobe. Kobe gets her with the same read, and she asked, what was his name? Oh God, now this scene I died. This scene I died laughing at Hot Puss Veronica. I died laughing at her motherfucking ass. Hot Puss Veronica. This bitch. So Hot Puss Veronica asked Colby what was his name. He said Colby Jones. Oh, I gotta stop laughing so I can get it out because it took me out. Not him saying it. Oh shit, that took me out. Okay, he said his name was Colby Jones Harris. I don't know why he did the lisp, but he said his name is Colby Jones Harris. So, they keep telling her to leave. She's like, okay, that's fine. I already got what I wanted. That is the redeeming part of this episode for me, I have to say. And there's another part of this episode that made me laugh as well. We'll get to that in a few minutes. But this shit right here, when she left, when Hot Puss Veronica left, she said that's all I needed was his name. Colby Jones Harris. And she did that on her way out. She did that. Like, I cracked up laughing at that whole shit at her. I'm like, this bitch is ignorant. This is a dumb bitch. But let's move on, you guys. All right, you guys. And then the next scene that actually kind of confused me just a little bit, because I have a lot of questions about this scene, but it's Alyssa and it's David. So Alyssa and David are having sex. I was kind of confused as to why Alyssa still had her bra on. Like, I mean, I get that you riding him so with the scene, but even still, like, soap operas do it all the time. When they have their women on top of the men, they have pasties on their nipples, and they have pasties on their nipples, and they have like the cover over them, and they're on top of the men. But when Tyler Perry's world, I guess the women that he's had sex with, they wear their bras during sex, and they panties, because when she got off of David, rolled off of David, I could see her panties on, which matched her bra, which was really nice. Which, you know what? Something I just thought about. That's the same bra and panties. So you mean to tell me she ain't had a bath? Because when we first met Alyssa, when she was in the fountain, she had them same bra and panties on. So that mean to tell me, so she ain't took a bath? Literally? You ain't took a bath since been in that nasty ass fountain? And David, you slept with her. Okay. Says a lot about you, huh? So, when she got off of him, she noticed that David was, kind of in La La Land. And she says, I know you're thinking about Erica. He says that, among other things. I'm like, you're mostly thinking about Erica. So she asked him, has he talked to someone? He says, what do you mean? She says, like a therapist, a psychiatrist, someone like that. He says, well, maybe you should talk to someone. So then he asks her for her phone. He tells her to unlock her phone and take the password off. So she does that. And then when she does that, he hands her a new phone. I'm like, oh, so David really finna make her a kelp woman. So then let's move over to Crash Test Dummy, aka Laura. So Laura, remember, Veronica gave her all those clothes and that wig. Now I will say, the wig that Hot Puss Veronica was wearing in this episode, in the beginning part, love that wig. And the wig that Laura was wearing, I gotta say, I like that wig as well. Tyler Perry is starting to come up a little bit in the wig department. Now that final wig in the episode that Hot Puss Veronica was wearing, So yeah, she's loving these clothes. And the one question that I really had, because I could not focus on anything in this scene besides that analog TV that was behind Crash Test Dummy, aka Laura. I'm like, where in the hell did he dig that TV up from? I have not saw one of those TVs since, when is the last time I saw an analog TV? And if you guys, I might be aging myself, if you guys don't know what an analog TV is. So before there was HD TVs, there was a little TV we used to call a standard definition TV, meaning it just, it didn't have all this high tech shit that we got today. It was just a regular TV that, you had a box. You still had your box, but the box, you had to screw the things on the box and you had to attach them to the TV. I used to hate that shit so fucking much. Or you had the bunny ears. Damn, I think I would have just aged myself, huh? The bunny ears. Or, you had the TVs that you had to turn with the knob. My grandmother had one of those. Oh my God, my grandmother had one of those when I was a kid. And her TV, you couldn't go back. So you would have to just keep turning the dial to get back to where you wanted to go. I used to hate that. And then she had a floor model TV that, for the longest time, because she used to always tell me, she said, Jerome, that floor model, that doesn't work. I'm like, but it's the bigger TV. Because she had the floor model TV and she had a TV on top of the floor model TV. That was then with my grandma. She wanted to watch her shows and I wanted to watch my shows. I was like, but can I fix this TV? She's like, it doesn't work. I'm like, okay, you say so. So one day I was just on the floor and I was messing with the floor model TV and I made it work. Like, I made the TV work. Don't ask me how. I'm not a TV person. I mean, I don't know how to fix TVs, but I fixed that floor model TV for sure. Because at first it did not work, but I was on the floor one day and I was just playing with the back of the TV. I don't know what the hell I did. And she's like, wait a minute, you actually made that work? I'm like, yeah. Because I went to her and said, Big Mama. She's like, what? I said, the TV on the floor works. She's like, no, it doesn't. I said, yes, it does. She says, no, it doesn't. I said, yes, it does. And we went and she's like, this TV actually works. And I think I was no more than 6 years old when I did this. But that's neither here nor there. So yeah, back to Crash Test Dummy and Samuel. So Samuel is still talking about the fact of, Derek telling them not to trust Veronica. Crash Test Dummy wants to trust Veronica. I don't know why. So, they get into a little bit of an argument with each other. So Crash Test Dummy, she wants to have sex with Samuel. Samuel says, not with that motherfucking wig on your head. So she goes to the bathroom to take the wig off, and I guess she's going to take a shower as well. So then he gets a text from Veronica to tell her, telling him to call him if his wife is not around. He said no. So then Veronica sent him a text message with which now that text message showed a bed with money on it, but Veronica's bed didn't have any money on it. So when did she take this picture? Because I'm gonna bring that back up in a few minutes. When the fuck did she take that picture? Let's move on. All right, guys. So then we're gonna wrap this episode up. So we see Samuel. He goes over to Veronica's house, and here's another one of the back and forth scenes that like really irritated me. He's telling her that he can't sleep with her because of his wife. He's telling her he can't drink. I can't drink. Yes, you can. No, I can't. Yes, you can. No, I can't. She's hitting on him. My wife this, my wife that, my wife this, my wife that. Now, before he actually went over there, she did ask him, she mentioned someone named Regina. I don't know who Regina is. I'm pretty sure at some point we'll find out who Regina is. I'm pretty sure at some point we're going to meet Regina. She's just going to be thrown right at us. But at least we don't know who, nope, we ain't going to know who Regina is. I was just about to say, at least we don't know who Regina is. We'll see Regina in the scene and we'll be like, who the fuck is that? And then she'll say, my name is Regina. I'm like, oh, there's Regina. So yeah, he's telling Veronica he doesn't feel good about this. She says your wife will never find out. So Veronica, they get upstairs. Veronica asks him, why did you lie to me about having a son? Yeah, I don't have any kids. So then she asks him, like, what are you up to? He says, well, what are you up to? And, they go into the room with each other. And, she tells him to get a drink. He gets a drink. And, she tells him to undress himself. He takes his clothes off. And he says, do you have any condoms? She says, pick a color out of the box behind you. So he goes to the box and he pulls out a Magnum. I'm like, typical. So then we move over to David and Alyssa. Now this scene is another scene that I laughed at, but it was also ridiculously stupid as well. So David is going through Alyssa's phone and he's asking Alyssa who is, whatever her ex's name was, I don't know what his name was. He asked her who is that. She said, that's my ex. He's like, well, so why does he text you so much? She said, you know why? He's like, no, I don't. She says, what I just did to you. So then, she says, so what about my house? He says, you said apartment. He says, I'm not getting you a house. She says, oh, you're getting me a house one way or another. He says, what does that mean? So she gets up out the bed. I'm like, I knew she had on panties. Like, when it comes to a sex scene, they have been laying in that bed the entire time. So okay, JB, let it go, move on. You keep you tell yourself this every week that this is Tyler Perry's world. Nothing in his world makes sense. So why are we, okay, we're back. So yeah, she gets up out the bed and, she said to him, he'll get her a house one way or another. I thought she was gonna have somebody outside the door, but I'm like, nah, because Leo is outside, so nope. Unless Leo is in on this. But nope, this bird went super duper crazy. She put her arm inside the door and she slammed it. Then she starts running around talking about he's raping her. When she said he's raping her, I'm like, girl, you are really stupid. Who is going to believe that? Leo can corroborate that you were coming on to David. Leo, but I mean, you could say that he's paying Leo. But then on top of that, if you're screaming rape, they're going to take a rape kit on you and they're not going to find anything. Yep, Alyssa's stupid as hell. And then to really close this episode out, there's this woman and she's walking her dog, and this is where the episode ended. The woman is walking her dog and she sees Wyatt in the car. Do I believe that Wyatt is dead? Hell the fuck no. That dog has more lives than a cat. And I know what I said. I know what I said and I meant what I said. He's a dog and he has more lives than a cat. And yep, that's gonna be it for the haves and have-nots. They did have this big announcement at the end of the episode, and the big announcement is they'll be back in a month on November 24th for the new season. I really hope for this next season, I really hope that they utilize the main characters more than the side characters. That's a big problem that I do have with this show. Like I said, this is the season finale. We didn't see Jim. We didn't see Catherine. We just saw Candace after how many episodes of being off? I mean, we got a lot of Jeffrey. We got a lot of David. We have a lot of Hot Puss Veronica, but it's almost as if the main characters are B characters on his show. But yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Subscribe to the channel, hit that bell notification button so you guys are aware of when I drop anything else. Share this video and into the next one, you guys. Do me a solid favor out there. Stay safe. Take care of yourselves and into the next one. Bye. Also, remember, wash your hands, wear your mask, and socially distance. And I'll see you guys later. Peace out.